G'day all. I thought I'd just get on and have a little bit of a chat about leadership and just see where this chat goes. But I've got a feeling there's a message in it for you. So much, right now you're doing your section on your leadership philosophy, bringing together the things that you've brought away from your role models, the things that you've seen deep inside, and your values, etc., and your key messages that you want to give. So often we really fear leadership. I'm just watching my daughter Abby, who's a natural born leader. I just watch her on a playground. I've watched her since she was knee height or grass up, I should say, and I just watch her down at like everything she engages. She's been selected to be Alice, the lead in the Alice in Wonderland production down at Circus Arts in Byron, and she just has a natural sense, a natural being within her of being a leader. The issue is she runs from it as well. And when she consciously realizes she's in a leadership position and engages a mind, she will so regularly start self-sabotage. And one of the reasons behind that is a deep fear that she's not enough, deep fear of being judged, deep fear what happens if she is successful. If she is successful, life will change for her. If life changes for her, she'll miss out on what she truly wants. Things will be affected. All these fears manifest within a leader who especially is just about to embark on impacting the world in a new way. And it's really pivotal for a leader to understand that. Leadership can so often be such a lonely journey. I remember, I think I've explained on one of the webinars so far that halfway through my tour of Iraq, we had such a tight-knit, well-trained team. We were the top of our game, and they still said to me, when I catch up with them, that was the most intense and most unbelievable training we've ever done prior to an operation. So everyone was completely ready to roll. The fact that I was emotionally exhausted and everything else like that, I'll put to one side for a moment. But that was a way inside. That was something inside me that was out of alignment. So one of the things that if I was to do that again, I'm not saying that I would, but if I was to do it again, my whole thing is completely, as we're doing, purify self and completely align with what you're doing, and then engage all the techniques and things to build a team together and align them and make that impact. So come 3 months into the tour, though, there was some real nasty behaviour starting to creep in. People were starting to get tired. They were getting frustrated. They were getting annoyed at the rules and regulations that were starting to be put down on us, and they started to kick back dramatically. So discipline started to really slip, and the small things. And one of my tenets, as I mentioned in your section on your philosophy, be brilliant at the basics, that started to be eroded. So all of a sudden, I felt really, really alone. Even my commanding officer pulled me aside and gave it to me. It was the only time in my entire 2 years under his command that him and I had a very, very stern talk. And he said, if you don't sort it out, I will. And he was frustrated himself. Now I look back, I understand a lot about what was going on for him, but the whole point there was I needed to step up and I needed to do something about it. But that was extremely lonely, really lonely. I felt isolated. I just lost my right-hand man because he went on leave and he was going to be replaced by another guy for the rest of the tour. So I had all this loneliness impact me in that moment. And so the burden of responsibility came even harder on my shoulders. So I started to control even more. And that control meant that the people kicked back underneath me. So that's the thing. When we lead, it can be and it can feel very, very lonely. When you're setting something up and all of you, looking at how you want to impact the world, where you want to go in the world with this, then it's a matter of realizing in a harmonic leadership sense, collaboration and support are absolutely instrumental. Even if you are an entrepreneur and you're out there doing something novel on your own, if you don't understand that you're part of a bigger system, part of a bigger community, part of a bigger humanity, then you're going to become very, very lonely very quickly. You're going to become very isolated and you're going to become very exhausted. And your the lifespan of what your initiative is will be very short-lived, because the only energy going into it is you. Sure, you are an incredible, and as a matter of fact, an infinite source of energy. Through you comes the infinite. But if you don't understand that in this reality, this third dimensional reality that we live in, that you need support and you're not open to support, then things crash very, very quickly around us. So one of the big things that I want to suggest to you all is, when you're starting to step up and step off on this pattern, really go back to a lot of the basics we've talked about so far in our conversations about purifying self. Have a look if you do have a fear of success. What do I mean by that? If I am completely successful, what will happen around me? Will I impact those negatively? Will I impact those positively? If I impact them positively, what additional responsibilities will come onto my shoulders? Do I fear that additional responsibility? Do I fear that I don't actually have what it takes to make it on the other end of success? We don't fear change. We fear that we don't have it to make it on the other side of the unknown, because that's what change brings to us. It brings something new. And so many of us label something new as unknown and therefore unfamiliar and often a threat. Why? If you do that, have a look at the amount of thoughts go in a negative way. In other words, away from what you want in a given day. And that's a great place to start. I see you thought, I let you go. I choose to supplant you with a positive action, a positive thought, and go from there, because that's the way that things will change in your life. Leadership is an honor. It is an honor, because people are literally looking to you for guidance, for inspiration, for many things. But that's where personal boundaries come into it massively with leaders. So many leaders just give too much of themselves to the point of exhaustion. And then where are they for their team? They're exhausted. So when we're building a team in a harmonic leadership sense, we're empowering the team to realize that they are as much as part of it as we are. And that means we step away from this fight with our ego. It means we step into a place where we realize we're at one with everyone going on around us. So how do you do this in, say, a hierarchical environment? Well, you get over yourself and you operate and you set the conditions. You set the framework for how you're engaging. It doesn't matter if it's a mine, it doesn't matter if it's a corporate organisation, it doesn't matter if it's the military or emergency services that do have very rigid hierarchical organisations. At the moment, the Fire Brigade down in Victoria, the Metropolitan Fire Brigade, are under incredible pressure and will be, uprooted substantially because of bullying behaviour. That's not leadership. The unions, I had another discussion with a gentleman in my campfire who's a tradesman, and he was discussing with me about being bullied by unions. And I don't know how many tradies have talked to me about that exact thing. That's not leadership. So we can do this. You can harmonically lead in any environment because you set the environment. I'm going to talk a lot about this in subsequent weeks, about building culture, etc. But it starts with you. Prepare yourself before you prepare anything else. And that means you're really, really centered in who you are and what you want to be involved in. So with your personal boundaries what you will and will not do. And that's really, really pivotal. If you don't have that deep understanding, then you'll be battered from pillar to post. And your team will suffer because of that. And then you will live out a program which says you can't succeed. So have a look at fear of success. It's actually a bigger fear than fear of failure. Now, one of the things we do on the Masters of Conscious Leadership program is we actually go into fear of failure and fear of success in a deeper way and really go deeper to the point where you can transmute both. We're going to talk about the law of polarities really soon, but one of the things is fear of success and fear of failure. Success and failure are simply the same thing, but varying degrees. They change by degree only. In other words, success for one person could be failure for another. Failure for one person could be success for another. They are literally the same thing, just viewed from different angles. And when you realize that, you can actually transmute it. You can go beyond the need for success and beyond the need for failure to a point to a real point, to an apex and a point in reality where you realize that everything happens for a specific reason. And when you completely purify yourself and come in complete alignment, you act in complete union with everything around you, then things will naturally evolve and everything will be there for a reason. And your job then becomes interpretation of the symbology of life. And when you do that, you're in such a great position to be able to lead, to be able to influence people around you. Balance comes, and so does insight. I trust this discussion has been worthwhile, and continue on doing what you're doing. The more you go deeper into the exercise, the more you'll get out of it. Much love to all.